welcome to Geopolitical Trends. My name is David Waralu. So good to be with you as always. Very excited to be talking to you today about a fascinating topic that falls within my wheelhouse, shall we say, regarding geopolitics. And this has to do with the recent statements by a U.S. general regarding how that the Washington will be depending on allies. And I'm going to explain to you what is the significance of a statement like that. So before I'll delve deeper, I'd like to say thanks to the channel's members and supporters. And I'd like to give a shout out briefly, quickly here to our new channel supporters and members. So let me get to the member where the members are here. And I'd like to give shout out to a new member by the name Relocate, who is a new member to the channel. Thank you for being here. Truly appreciate it. I also want to give a shout out to a supporter by the name Francisco Lee L. Thank you for being here. Truly appreciate it. And another supporter by the name of Bobby Ang. Thank you very much for being here. Truly appreciate your support, guys. All right, we are now at 63 members. It's like as I promised you, I was hoping we could reach 100 by the end of July, but didn't happen. So let's shoot for maybe mid of August, and by then we can reach 100 members. And I'll go ahead and do the Q&A for the members, but also share the surprise with you guys. I want to have an announcement for you guys. Next week, I'm going to have a great political figure from Australia being on a show here as a guest. So you really want to hear what he has to say about what's going on in Australia. So, and I also want to let you know that I reached out. One of you guys sent me a comment asking if I can reach out to Dr. Connie Bakri. I did reach out. So I'm waiting to hear from her. She is an Indonesian geopolitical analyst, and she was the director of the Indonesia's Institute of Defense and Security Studies, or is the director. So I reached out to her, and I am waiting to hear from her. So, all right, let's get into our topic. So today's topic, I'll be talking about how the statements of Washington, and by the way, guys, give me a thumbs up if the speaker, if you can hear me clear on the speaker, because I don't want to take chance with this. So Zaid Yamin, good to have you from Ohio, state of Ohio. Good to have you here, man. Yeah, just give me a thumbs up, guys, if you hear me very well. So I want to make sure. Ali from Somalia, good to have you. Oh, I'm sorry. Where is Ali from? Yeah, right here. Ali from Somalia, good to have you. Let me see here. Oh, let me see from Emengli. I hope I pronounce it correctly, man. From Norway, good to have you joining me here. So, all right. So I'm assuming the sound is working. So let's just move on with our conversation here. Oh, somebody from South Africa. That's Malfisan Kotsi from South Africa. Good to have you join me here. So, all right, I'm still waiting for the thumbs up. Yopio from Malaysia. Good to have you. Yeah, thumbs up for the screen for the sound rather that is working. So, all right, let's talk about the topic today. Washington is counting on its allies in the Pacific to confront Beijing. This, by the way, was a statement from a major general, two-star general, by the name of Joseph Ryan. And I will tell you, by the way, when generals issued statements like this, of course, it has to be coordinated through the Pentagon, but there is also another motivation for that, and I will explain it later. So now, the question we need to ask is, which, you think about it in terms of analysis, of course. That's the whole reason why I'm doing all this. You think about it. Which allies come to your mind? If you can leave me the answer on the chat box. So when Washington's saying, well, it's going to count on its allies, which allies are we talking about here? Okay, that's one question. And second one, is this statement a reaction to something else? like I always say, in geopolitics, you have to think in terms of not just what you are dealing with or seeing, because you have to think about what is a reaction to. That is what I'm going to be delving deeper into this today, providing the big picture, of course, for you to put it in that perspective. So, now the idea of the U.S. General, two-star General Joseph Ryan, saying that Washington is counting on its allies in the Pacific to confront Beijing. Like when I posted for the community for you guys about this live stream, and I had a thumbnail, then I put at the front, who's first. I didn't want to finish that because I want to trigger your thinking. You all know what I meant by that, right? Who's going to be first to the slaughterhouse? Who's going to be first to die? So I only put those three flags between US, Japan, and South Korea. Of course, the list goes longer than that. This is exactly what's at the heart of this conversation. So the whole idea is to build the narrative here in the US, because that's how you sell the arguments. You build the narrative or you build the narrative to allies that they have to sort of counter any potential Chinese military threat in the Pacific, rather than dramatically increasing its armed forces there. So when a two-star general from the US will first of all issue a statement like that, as a former military myself, I'm here to tell you that sometimes when you move up to the rank of general, first star, then you move up the rank. One way to move up the ranking faster of becoming a four-star general is you issue a statement like this, because you push in the narrative. This is why most of the US generals that retire, where do they end up working? They end up working as a consultant to defense contractors. So the more the narrative is pushed like this, the faster this guy, General Ryan, will move up the rank. I won't be surprised by probably within a few months, he will be nominated for the three-star general rank, lieutenant general, that is. So basically what he's saying is that he has this 25,000 troops, or 12 of them strong in infantry division on the islands of Oahu in Hawaii, that they will be willing to take on the Chinese. And this was, by the way, during a conversation, during an interview with the AFP, Associated Press, when he pointed to China's developments of defense capability. I see his argument where he's coming from, especially with one event that just took place in China. So let me start with that first, because I need you to know that developments that took place in China. What that development is that China just recently, as a matter of fact, made a change to a new command of the power of the nuclear arsenal. Yeah, China announced on Monday, yesterday, okay, it announced a new command of the force overseeing the country's nuclear arsenal. Now, the question that we need to ask is, did China include a type of nuclear missile, something that the West doesn't know about, maybe the intelligence community is aware of? Or the statement or the decision by China to replace or to nominate a new command for the nuclear arsenal is a posture that signal that China is ready for whatever. What do you guys think? So, and here is what happened with this particular aspect here before I'll go back to my topic. Wang Hobin, the former deputy commander of the Navy, was appointed as the new commander of the force based on a brief report by the officials. Okay, the missile force is a relatively, here is the key, that I need you to understand. The missile force is a relatively new unit of China's People Liberation Army and was announced in January 2016 after major modification to China's military structure. This is why I use the term, is this the new poster for the nuclear arsenal in China? And if it is, what message it is sending to the US and its allies in the region? So, of course, based on my own research, and I digged into this before I made the decision to come on the air and share this with you, because there was another story behind the scenes, and this one's pertained to corruption. Yeah. So the force oversees China's arsenal of strategic missile, both conventional and nuclear, and has deterrence and attack capabilities according to the Chinese government. So, and this is where the intelligence report from the US that was released, and as a matter of fact, it wasn't released recently, it was released, I had a chance to read up on it back in March. I just wasn't certain of that information yet to confirm that it was the case. So in March, it says that, this is according to the US intelligence report, is that the missile force and conventional missile capabilities posed, and I put this in quote, probably a serious threat to US forces and bases in East Asia. So what bases are we talking about here? We're talking about Guam. And I'm going to share a picture with you to show you, by the way, this picture I'm going to show you is the nuclear ballistic missiles of China's, the new model that's been developed. And they paraded it so as a show of strength. Okay, where is the picture? No, I don't have it here. Let me share it with you here. I can post it quickly here. Picture 2. And you will be able to see what this in reference to. Picture 2. Here's the picture. This is the ballistic missile that China displayed. So as part of the new nuclear command. So, and again, these things don't happen in a vacuum. When you are talking about, all of a sudden, now we have the China announcing the replacements of or appointments of the new commander for the nuclear forces. So the former chief, his name is Li Yachao, I pronounce it correctly, has not been appeared basically in public or for weeks. Yeah. And there's a report that suggests, because there was no at that time, there was no explanation for why he was dismissed, But according to my research, I found that military sources said that Li and his current and former deputies were under investigation into suspected corruption by the anti-corruption unit of the Central Army Commission. So, just for you to put things in perspective, this is why I'm saying things do not happen in a vacuum when it comes down to issues like this. And this is why General Ryan's statement that saying that the expansion, or he says that the expansion of the Chinese military, that is see it as a threat. And this is the reason why he is sort of advocating that the allies, U.S. allies in the region, will sort of be counted on to counter Beijing. So the next question becomes, and this is, by the way, just an image of the Japanese forces here that I'll be talking about this one also. This is another one of the joint US and South Koreans. Okay. This is the image that I posted for you as to the allies. Well, the reference doesn't go just for those two countries. Which other countries do you guys think the General Ryan was making a reference to? Let me see if you guys posted some comments on the chat box to tell me which countries the reference was made to. Okay, let me see here. Oh, thank you very much, David K. Oh, guys, please refrain from any derogatory comments about ethnicities. I would really appreciate it. So, this is not a forum for that. And I will give you the opportunity. We all make mistakes or whatever, but it's only one strike. It's because that's disrespect. So I appreciate you, David, for saying that, because I have no tolerance for that. I will really, because we're here to learn, guys. So this kind of comments and statements, no need for that, please. And I'm asking politely here. So what was I saying? Which countries are we talking about here? So if anybody can type in for me which countries I'm referring to. Heidi, good to see you. Heidi, by the way, is a member of the channel. Thank you very much, and good to see you here. You're absolutely correct. Japan is one of them. There are other countries. And I'm starting to say countries in plural, because that's what I'm seeing on the horizon. But I want to hear it from you, because I want to engage you in the conversation. This is why, guys, I reached out to my contact. Is going to be my guest next week from Australia, who happens to be a politician also. So I mean it. You guys need to hear what he will have to say. It's someone I know, and I trust his judgment, and I understand where he's coming from, and he has some valid arguments to present. So I'm working on the dates, and once I lock in the dates and the time, I will, guys, let you know. So you're absolutely correct, Eddie. Japan is one. Which other country, guys? There are more than one countries. No, you meant South Korea, not North Korea. Is that correct? Hong Kong. Did you mean South Korea, right? I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. So yeah, the other. Oh, this is an interesting one. Carol, India. I won't be surprised. And again, by the way, I am going to be digging into two more other areas when it comes down to India. One of them is a statement by the finance minister, which is not making around the Western media. Wait until you hear what he has to say. And second one, in the military structure in India, whether there is a push towards considering more alliances with the West. This is, again, if you guys recall, a few months ago, I mentioned to you about NATO is coming to Asia, and even we kind of flirted with the idea of, because one of you did ask the question. He said, well, Dr. O, do you think India would join in NATO? What do you think? Will I be surprised if it is the equivalency of AUKUS? Remember, India is already in Quad, right? And this is, again, where you have to think in terms of the list doesn't include just Japan and South Korea or Philippines or Australia. I'm saying countries. There are other countries that they are being now under the microscope for whether to pressure them to get in or not. What am I referring to here, guys? I'm referring to an upcoming video I'm going to release for you. A major one. I don't want to spoil the surprise for you. And I will be happy to do a live stream on it once it's released to further elaborate on the reasons why this country in that part of the world, it's really looking at the hard facts and thinking twice about what's coming on the horizon. So why am I saying all this? I'm saying all this to put the statements of the U.S. General Ryan, within this context. Because here's the thing. The relationship between Beijing and Washington has been strained. We all know this is nothing new, okay, over the issue of Taiwan. And the big problem for us is we are ignoring the one China policy, even though we signed the 3 communiques, 1972, 1974, and if I'm not mistaken, 1984, if I'm not mistaken. So because we all agreed and acknowledged that Taiwan is part of China's territory. That just where the challenge with the statements from the general come in this way. But General Ryan said that the Taiwan issue may have been only, get this, and I'm putting it in quote, the first problem in a broader campaign, end of quote. So you guys need to really acquire, I'm sure you do, just for me to ensure the understanding, you need to really hone in on your skills as far as knowing how to read between the lines, especially when it comes down to political statements. Because this one is of a political statements that will have geopolitical and security implications. So, and the argument by the General Ryan, that is saying that China aimed at, and I put this in quote because that's his word, not mine, at, in quote, becoming at least the dominant regional power in Southeast Asia, and certainly to improve its global aspirations, end of quote. That begs the question for us, if the US general is referring to allies, which allies are we talking about here? Second question will become is, will the allies be able to handle? Because China today is not China of 30 years ago. This is the reality of it. Now, mind you that there is another big issue that is looming large. Is that this General Ryan, he was just recently visiting once again another US official, because it's considered official, even though on the military level, he was visiting once again the Solomon Islands. Yeah. Why? It's because he wants to sort of understand where the frustration is coming from regarding the relationship between Solomon Island and the US. Well, we know what the frustration is coming from, which is straightforward, that the Solomon Island didn't want to sort of agreed with the US military plan. Because you all remember, Australia sent its officers, military one that is, to the Solomon Islands, because Solomon Island wants to take stand into all this. So what the General Ryan said, and here is where he put the spin on this. This is why I said it's very important to understand. He said, and I quote, this is during his visit to Solomon Island, "I was struck by the lack of development there. So I am not surprised that our relations with Solomon Island are still complicated today, because we were there. We fought there. Now there are challenges and we are no longer there." End of quote. Like I said, you put things within the global context to make sense to you. Because what happened last year? Solomon Islands signed a secret security cooperation agreement with China. The US didn't like it. Well, like, too bad. It's a free country, isn't it? They can decide whatever. So that's like when India agreed to allow the establishment of a naval base in India. Did China say anything about it to India? No, because India is free to do whatever. And once again, where the statement of the general is that he's stressing on certain key points. And the key points, like, for example, that China also has the right to operate in the region. And I put this in quote, as long as everyone adhere to the set of international standards that were set after World War II. End of quote. Oh, wait a minute. The rules that were set after World War II was established by one country because it was the dominant, the US. And at that time, even though the world was a bipolar, today's conditions are different, geopolitically speaking. We are in a multipolar system. China of today is not China's of 40, 50 years ago. So this statement doesn't hold. The argument doesn't hold. So this is why. And again, for General Ryan, when he says, and I quote, we simply ask them to act in their best interest and to consider that the United States wants to be their partner and that other free and independent countries that attach importance to their sovereignty in the region, such as Australia and New Zealand, want to be their partner. End of quote. No. I have to disagree with the general statement because, first of all, when he said that the United States wants to be their partners and other free and independent countries that attach importance to their sovereignty in the region. Australia, is Australia a sovereign state? That's common question. What do you guys think? This is why I reached out to my contact in Australia and said, hey, you need to come on my show here because my viewers needs to hear from somebody on the ground with a political and economic understanding and explain. Because won't be my just word as an analyst. No. This will be from somebody from the ground, on the ground. So when a General Ryan issues a statement like this, no. This is nothing but a bravado. And this is where you see the concern of the regions, like those countries that I just mentioned earlier. South Korea, Japan, Philippines, Australia, New Zealand, it's not included in that. And once you watch the video that I'm going to be releasing, you will see why. It's an explosive one as well. So be on the lookout for it. So, and here is when you think about all this. Where does North Korea comes in? Now, to those who interesting enough is that General Ryan refrained from mentioning anything about North Korea within this context. And there is a reason for that. And the reason is, it's because we are pushing South Korea to the slaughterhouse by forcing it to agree to us bringing our nuclear submarine there. How do you think North Koreans is going to perceive that? This is no different. Yeah, I'll say no different. And by the way, this is North Korea's ballistic. This is China. This is North Korea ballistic missile right here. So how do we think Chinese will feel when they are seeing some advanced weapons being agreed upon to be sent to Taiwan? Because we are in the process of doing that as we speak. So China, of course, is going to have to be concerned about all this. And rightly so. And this is why I'm trying to present you guys. You have to think about it, big picture again. But you have to, what was the word I'm looking for? Because you have to go back a few months. When the visit by the Secretary General of NATO to Japan, and if you read the final communique, I don't have it in front of me here, but I remember from what I read, I'm paraphrasing here, that the idea of the collaboration, basically that's what Jens Stoltenberg was saying, General Secretary of NATO, was saying to the Japanese government, is that by agreeing to this cooperation, we will further strengthen NATO's relations with Japan and Asia writ large, or US allies in Asia writ large. That's basically paving the way, linguistically, for what lies ahead. This is why I said last time, guys, I saw the writing on the wall. The expansion of NATO, it might not be in the same way we saw in Europe, because remember, it's North Atlantic Treaty Organizations. Of course, they're going to have to change the name. But NATO's expansion in Asia is not going to be in the same format. It will be under different umbrella. Will be the equivalency of AUKUS, but in a different setting with more regional countries there. The only difference that I see coming is that regional countries will think twice, like exactly what New Zealand just did, following the statement by its foreign minister. As to Japan, as to South Korea, as to Philippines, as to even India to a degree, I don't see any change. They can't take stand. They don't have the gut, political one that is, to take stand. New Zealand did. I was surprised. So this is what I need you to understand. Why statements emanating from a two-star general will serve two purposes. One is political ambitions, and second is ensuring that the next conflict front is Asia. Now, you take all this within the context of what's going on right now in Africa. And by the way, I will be doing a live stream tomorrow about what's going on in Niger, and you need to have an understanding of exactly what's going on, because events are unfolding so fast that I made a decision today. As a matter of fact, I'll post it for you guys for tomorrow. So I'm going to do live stream on Niger, because Niger and the whole region there sort of reflect really the dynamics of where this new geopolitical landscape is going to be reflected on. You got now two parts of the world where this geopolitical and your global order will be reflected on or in. You got Asia and you got Africa. Even though I still stand by my statements that what is going to be shaping the new multipolar system, or is going to be guided by economic blocks, not military conventions and so forth. But you need to understand what is going on in Niger and what are the far-reaching global outcome if Western entities intervene. We do have a presence there. I was in Ivory Coast, around the area, so I'm going to be talking about that tomorrow. So for now, we'll think about it in terms of Asia. And this is why I wanted to invite Dr. Connie Bakar. I hope she sees my email because she's an Indonesian analyst, and she has a grasp of really the dynamics in that part of the world. And why am I mentioning this, and why am I wanting to bring her here for the conversations, is because I see a role for Indonesia moving forward, especially now with the truth coming out about India that is a hollow in the center. I know I saw the comments, and it's some nasty comments, but it is what it is. There's nothing I can do. Sometimes you can argue with irrational people. What you do, you forgive their ignorance and move on. So, but I won't shy away from disclosing the truth. It's like what I did for our own economy. I did one about our government, how it's lying to American people about the real conditions of the economy, and I will release it soon. So I don't shy away. Why? Truth matters. So you will think that people will sort of accept. If somebody criticizes me, I will welcome that criticism as long as it is constructive. No need for name callings, no need for that nonsense, because it's nonsense. That shows how weak a person is intellectually. Because strength is right here. Strength is how you argue. Strength is how you articulate your argument. It's not about name calling and this nonsense, because it's nonsense. And that's why I appreciate you, David K. I appreciate you for putting that. Now, no need for that here on this platform, guys. And I usually will not tolerate it. I'll kind of remove whoever needs to be removed, because to me, if we are here to learn. And like I always say, guys, your time is important to me, and I will never waste it by any means. So to think about in terms of how the changes that is taking place within China's military structure, but at the same time within regional countries that now some of them have been pressured to go along, and some said no, except for Australia, of course, because the Prime Minister Albo has turned over the sovereignty of Australia officially, if I may use the term. I have Aussies subscriber to the channel. They send me emails. They send me rather comments, and I read them, and they appreciate what because we're not bad mouthing Australia here. No, we don't. I don't do that. I don't have time for that. What I am doing is arguing or presenting the facts. That is, because to me, the recent deal in Australia with the USS Canberra, that's to me the nail on the coffin for Australian sovereignty. I know this is not new. For those of you who are older enough to know that this has been since the 50s, after World War II, that we made clear this is where we're going to put our tent in that part of the world. And that's where the decision later on came in as far as the Five Eyes, and it will be hosted in Australia. But Australia will be just a host, no more, no less. It has no say into that. Like I mentioned to you guys about Pine Gap, there are certain sections in Pine Gap off limit for Aussies. This will apply also to the nuclear subs, that Aussies officers will not have access to all that stuff. And this is again when regional countries are now sort of going back to the drawing board, the geopolitical board, that is, and recalculating or redrawing their priorities to see where the dynamics. This is why, if you notice something, look at ASEAN countries, how they are sort of approaching this delicate dance. Is a geopolitical dance. They have to make sure not to over dance, not to sort of undercut themselves. It's by being, except for Philippines, I still now can firmly say, or firmly rather, that I need to, I just noticed something here that I need to picture. Where is that one? Okay, that picture is not there. So the idea of ASEAN countries will have to think in terms of, okay, where things are headed. Where do we have to? So do we look at economic prosperity, or do we look at an invitation of conflict? Because conflicts will reflect on population. Because the population will get dragged into this, because government now can't do anything or can decide or whatever the decisions will be. So this is where the problems that is going to be for countries in the region. Mainly I will look at Philippines, because Philippines to me seems to be going the wrong direction. It's the wrong direction. It will backfire big time. So this is what prompted me to really decide to do this for you guys because I want you to understand it within the proper context, not only from a military aspect of it, but also the political or geopolitical implications of statement like that, because words tends to turn into policies. For us, sadly, we don't have adequate leaders. There are no leaders here in Washington, so we say it straightforward. So, and this is where I see that discrepancy between what we say and what we do. They are on the opposite end. In the case of Philippines, I was hoping that Marcos Jr. will turns up to be. I'm not saying you should be scared of any other countries. That's not what I'm saying. It just, you put the welfare of your people first. This is what New Zealand did. That's what I did the video for you guys, because you'll see it. And if you want me further expand on it in a live stream, I will do that. And this is again what I see also happening in Africa. Why some African countries now are taking a stand and saying enough is enough. So this is what I wanted to talk to you about today. So once again, just to remind you guys, be on the lookout next week for one of my guests from Australia. And I'm waiting on a response from Dr. Connie Bakir. I hope she responds to it. So I'll be happy to have a conversation with her. And be on the lookout for my 2 videos that's coming up soon. And what else? And the live stream for tomorrow about Niger. So let me see if there's any question from you guys quickly here. I'll take one question and move on because I need to go do some research for. And by the way, guys, it takes me time to do all this research. It doesn't happen. And while I'm thinking about it, I am on the final stages of finalizing the health channel that I promised you I will. It will be strictly about health tips. So I'm an advocate for health because your health is very, very important. And I need to share with you the knowledge that I acquired over time. So, all right, let me see if there is a question here, and I will answer one question for you guys. All right, it takes a while by the time the question pops up. Usually, I don't know why the system here is the way it is, but no worries about it. So once we reach the 100 members, I'll do specifically exclusive just for the members. I do Q&A. I'll just answer your question. I'm not going to talk about anything else but answering your questions. So, and by the way, guys, I do appreciate your support. It means a lot. It really means a lot. Thank you so much. If you notice that the numbers of subscribers is moving up, and thanks to you, it's a word of mouth. I'm by myself here, by the way. So it's kind of your support means a lot, and I thank you for that. So, all right, guys, I don't have any questions here, so I'm going to sign off. And I thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow during a live stream. As always, remember, geopolitics impact your daily life in more ways than one. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.